Do we have any other, do you have any emails since I spoke to you earlier, Jared? And we got requests from Mr. Theodoros, Council Theodoros.
Nothing new
it?
beyond the two that I had said it earlier.
I only got one. I got a continuance request from Councilor Theodoros. Is there another?
Yep, and then request to withdraw from Clifton Street.
Okay.
How did this happen?
Okay. All right. It's 6:30. We ready to go?
Yeah, we're on, LTC's got us up, so.
Okay, great. Good evening and welcome to the City of Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals, public hearing for Monday, October 26, 2020. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the meeting is not occurring in person. The city has provided options. We have Zoom, we have call-in, and it can be watched on LTC channel 99 as indicated by the clerk, and it can be watched online at ltc.org. First matter of business, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome Robert Nigeros. Correct me if I'm wrong, Robert. We want to welcome you to the board. You're going to be sworn in. Is my understanding through Jared. You'll be able to listen into the meeting tonight, but you will not be able to participate or vote. It's not a, I apologize, it's probably not the best way to start, but I do want to make note that we are extremely happy to have the two additional members on the board. It gives us a full board. I would think, Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably 8 or 10 years since a full board.
You know, I agree with you. It's been an awful long time. It's rare that we've had one, Gary, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I want to thank both the new members for reaching out to the city and applying, and I want to thank the city manager and her administration for making duly appointments in front of Lowell City Council for the vote. This evening, our ultimate voting member will be George Bobko, as we have Mr. Briere is not here this evening. We have items from continued business as well as new business, discussion of other business as well. Prior to opening up the meeting under continued business, I'm going to take one request out of order. Request by the applicant at Pineapple Realty, 17 Montreal Street. Attorney George Theodoro has requested a continuance to November 9th, 2020. Is the council here for comment?
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing this matter to be brought up and moved up the agenda. I appreciate that courtesy extended to me. This is a request for a continuance to the November 9th meeting that my client met with members of the abutters last week, went over concerns, and there's additional work to be done to satisfy the concerns and make this a better application. So as a result, we asked to move up the meeting and continue it to November 9th.
Very well, thank you, and you're quite welcome for the professional courtesy. We aim to work with petitioners and the attorneys in the meeting process. That being said, may I have a motion, Mr. Clerk?
This is the clerk, Sean Callahan. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-44 to continue the public hearing in this matter to November 9th.
Have a second?
I'll second the motion.
May I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approved continuance.
Member Peck, Member Callahan,
Approved continuance to November 9th, 2020.
Member McCarthy,
Approve continuance to November 9th.
Member Procope.
Approve continuance November 9th.
Very well, Councilor. Thank you for your notice, and we'll see you on November 9th. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you very much.
Take care. As in accordance with the public meeting via Zoom or phone or online, public hearing will move forward, and Jared will do his wonders working the board and getting the public access to the meeting. We want to move forward to continued business. I think in the matter of full clarity, Mr. Linnea, if you're fine with it, we'll take your 2020 39 first and then 38 second.
Yes, sir. Mr. Perrin, that would be excellent. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ken. Okay, ZB 2020 39 for variance and Linnea, care of Mad Jack 7 LLC at 38 Clifton Street, section 5.1. Mad Jack 7 LLC is seeking various approvals to subdivide the existing lot with an existing two-family home and construct a new single-family home on the new lot. The property is located in a traditional neighborhood two-family TTF zoning district. The proposal requires variance approval under section 5.1 for the minimum lot area dwelling per unit, for dwelling, minimum frontage, and any other relief required under the zoning ordinance. We're in receipt of a withdrawal. Benefit in mind.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Kenneth Lania, Cornerstone Land Associates, representing the applicant Mad Jack 27 LLC. We're before you this evening, Mr. Chairman, and with that withdrawal request, due to the fact there was some concerns raised by several of the neighbors in the area of the property. And, you know, I'm never one to advise my clients to move forward when there is major opposition to a project. So we thought it would be best to withdraw without prejudice, seek out some of the neighbors that have concerns and try to address those concerns and work with them to, you know, come up with a better project for everyone in the neighborhood.
Well, as always, we appreciate your due diligence and we're always working with the neighborhood. That being said, may I have a motion, Mr. Clerk?
This is Clerk Sean Callahan. Through Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-39 for 38 Clifton Street to accept withdrawal of petition without prejudice.
May I have a second?
This is Van Pack. I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Peck,
Accept withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Callahan,
Accept withdrawal without prejudice.
Member McCarthy,
Accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Procope,
Accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Thank you very much. Withdrawal has been accepted.
Thank you
moving
very much,
forward-
Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Mr. Linnea. We're going to move forward with your other petition, sir. ZB 2020-38, variances Ken Linnea, care of Landmark LLC, 6169 Rock Street, section 5.1, section 6.1.4. Landmark LLC is seeking variance approval to construct 6 residential units at 6169 Rock Street. The property is in the urban neighborhood multifamily UMF zoning district, and that use requires variance approval under section 5.1 for decks proposed to encroach on the side yard setback under section 6.1.4 for the off-street parking requirements and for all other relief required for Lowell zoning ordinance.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kenneth Lania, Cornerstone Land Associates, representing Landsmart LLC this evening on this variance request application. Mr. Chairman, this project is a 6-unit development, 3 separate buildings, one on either side of the property with a driveway located in the center of the parcel, gaining access to underground parking garages for each unit. This particular project has been before the City of Lowell Planning Board and received approval for allowance of the development of more than 3 units in that zone. It's also received the approval from the City of Lowell Historic Board, as this is the historic acre neighborhood area that was required to have the building layout reviewed by the Historic Commission and the actual overall design approved. Both of those have occurred again, and we're before the zoning tonight to just request some small adjustments to the plan, hoping to receive approval for those from the applicant. is the decks that were proposed. It was brought up at the planning board meeting that we had proposed decks for a second means of egress on this particular project. And those decks do fall within the side yard setbacks. The property is pretty restrained as to where the structures can be located in order to allow access to the garage units underneath for the parking. The decks are minimal in size. They're 6 feet in width. They're located on the rear of both structures, which leaves about 6 feet on the left side of the property and 7 feet on the right side of the property. In doing this, that's only a 13-foot cumulative setback, and this particular zone requires a 17-foot setback. So we're requesting a 4-foot setback variance for the decks. In doing so, we knew that there would be some screening issues, as that was brought up at the planning board meeting originally. In what we provided was some updated plans showing some screening along those decks, so that we can ensure that there is some privacy between the two neighbors, as the neighbors on the left side of the property are the more affected neighbors, as they do have windows on their side of their units. On the right side of the property, those structures do not actually have any windows facing this particular property. So on the side that does have the windows, we're proposing the screening for the decks on the decks themselves. And in addition to that, we're proposing a 6-foot chain link fence with privacy slats to be located actually on all 3 sides of the development. The front portion of the development, we work with the historic board, and we're proposing a aluminum Carolina style fence. I did provide a late plan today to Jared, just to maybe give you guys a sense of what those fencing materials would look like. I'm not sure if Jared had forwarded those to you, but if not, hoping he can maybe bring that plan up on the Zoom meeting for everyone to see. Ultimately, the goal here is obviously is to take into consideration the neighbors here, make sure we provide them with some screening. I provided the landscape plan showing the fencing, albeit it was actually just required as a condition for a building permit, but I wanted to get it in front of you folks so that you knew what we were planning on doing with this particular development. Regarding the variance for the parking, originally we filed this application and the applicant was looking for 4 bedrooms. We did get some comments back from the DPD department as well as the building commissioner. We also, again, are not trying to impose on this neighborhood and create a problem. So in doing so, Mr. Jenkins and Lance Smart, they decided to reduce the number of bedrooms from 4 bedrooms per unit to 3 bedrooms per unit. So ultimately that reduces the required parking total from 18 spaces to 13.5 spaces. We are providing 2-car garage spaces under each unit. So we have 12 spaces. So we are actually looking for this evening a variance for only 1.5 parking spaces. And ultimately, I guess we round that up to 2 parking spaces for this evening's meeting. We feel as though with the density of the neighborhood and ultimately the development that we're creating here with the underground parking, that a regular family having 2 cars is realistic with only 3 bedrooms. We feel as though that's an acceptable request for a variance in this matter. We believe that there is on-street parking, albeit it is a congested area. A good number of cars in that area are really, non-registered vehicles from some of the auto body and auto mechanic shops in that general location, albeit a couple of doors down on the same side of the street as well as across the street. I know that Mr. Jenkins has had conversations with those property owners, and we're hoping that we can relieve some of those parking issues by making sure that those vehicles on the road do truly belong to the residents of the street. It's our hope that with these modifications and the reduction in the number of bedrooms, as well as the additional screening requirements that we're adding, that it would allow this zoning board to look favorably upon this application. I'd be glad to answer any additional questions at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your input, and I'm sure as we move forward, we'll be looking to maybe add one or two conditions that you already made us aware of that you're prepared from the narrators and the comments for the clerk to make proper for the record. That being said, I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Favor? In favor? Opposition? Opposition. That portion of
Chairman freeze up.
I got froze up. I just wanted to introduce myself, Dean Jenkins. I'm the owner of the property, and I just want to identify myself in case there are any questions of me that I can answer. I am the owner of LandSmart LLC and the owner of the property. So I just wanted to make it aware that I could, in case somebody had any questions that needed to be answered from my perspective or from the development perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Look, I believe we lost the chairman. I don't know if he's online.
Again, so this is Van Pack, the vice chairman for the board. I think the chairman's having some technical difficulty, so we'll give him a minute, but we'll continue. I think he might be still on listening somewhere. So the public hearing portion of the meeting was closed. So we're going to open up comments and questions to the board. So the chair recognizes Mr. McCarthy. Mr. McCarthy, the chair is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I have a couple of questions. I'm glad to see that we have fixed the application regarding the parking, and now we're asking for relief for only 2 spaces. And that we have fixed the plans to remove the attic or I think it's really a 3rd living area level as strictly storage space. And so that won't be a bedroom. So we're looking at 3 bedrooms. I'd like to ask about 2 things: snow storage and where recycling and trash bins will be placed. I think, Jared, these units will be able to access the city bins and pickup. Is that correct?
I believe you're correct at this scale, although I'd have to check with my colleague, Chris Haley, to confirm.
And so I believe the plan would be that they would have bins stored in their garages and roll them out and place them along Rock Street for pickup. Is that how it would work?
That is our intention, Mr. McCarthy, and we do have an area in the garage shown for that mechanical, and that's where the storage bins would be.
Okay. And so each tenant would be rolling them out and putting them on the Rock Street side, whether on the sidewalk or off the curb, whichever, but you'd be stacking 12 bins on recycling day.
That is correct.
Okay. And I think there's room to do that. So I just wanted to be clear on that.
There is, and Mr. McCarthy, we're actually going to be rebuilding that sidewalk as well. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. It's pretty rough out there, and it was a condition of the planning board. So we're going to actually bring that to, the standards of what engineering would like us to, obviously, and ensure that there's plenty of room there for the barrel.
And therefore pull it out of the ground too, because it's basically flat now, and that's what's really creating the congestion with all the cars parked at that spot right up against the fence that was installed to protect properties. Doing that will make a big difference in terms of regular movement. Whenever the the neighbors to either side now put their barrels out and so forth, and I've witnessed it. It's not that big of a deal there. For me, it would be impossible at the moment because the cars all are up against the fence. Once that with the development, I kind of go away.
Perfect. I'm really impressed with what we're getting on this site. Rock Street is one of those streets that I think is underutilized, and to see this kind of development there is very impressive. And I think that it bodes well for the city to have these areas developed like you're doing. Snow storage, though, do we have a plan as to what to do when we have our 2 feet of snow?
We do, Mr. McCarthy. The plan area here shows the driveway with what appears to be like an exit out onto Wigan Court. That particular area is going to be for emergency access only. Ultimately, if the entryway on Rock Street's blocked, there'll be a sliding gate of the chain link fence in the rear there. But obviously, the area to the right and the left of the gate will be utilized for snow storage. The plow truck will just push that snow right up into the back, but obviously leave that gate section open.
Not much area, though.
I mean, it's, if we get 2 feet of snow, it's a condo association, Mr. McCarthy. If there's too much snow in that particular location, they will have to have that trucked off site.
Right. I'm worried about it because you have a 22-foot drive, and I think doing my math, we basically have about 8 feet from the edge of the drive to the front of the building. I don't see a dimension in any of these plans.
6 feet on either side, Mr. McCarthy. Those small islands are 6 feet in
6
width.
feet deep. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then we have an overhang of several feet in the architecturals, I see, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
If you look at plan A3 and A4, you can see the jet out of the, so those are like the architectural styling to try and adhere to the historic requirements. So those bump out 2 feet in the front of the structure, but only on the second and third floor.
2 feet total, right? It's in 1 foot increments in some cases. Got it. Yep.
Yep.
And then we have a 2-foot overhang. So if I look at the elevations, it's a little bit interesting because there's a bit of a step in the roof when it's one. In any event, I think I understand what's going on, but it's roughly 2 feet or 1 foot, depending on the depth of the step. And then you're saying it's about 4 feet of space where we can actually have water going down into the soil, but you don't have on the site plan indicated entry points, and you don't have the site plan indicated the stoops for the rear stairs.
Right. So the rear stairs actually will be coming off of the decks. So I didn't show the stairs. I typically just show the decks, but the stairs would be coming off of the decks. And there is the doorways shown on the site plan. It's a little bit hard to see if you look at the structure itself. You can see the doorway for the garage and then the doorway for the entryway. But I don't show like paved area as far as like a sidewalk goes. That is correct.
Which I think is required. I think we should show hardscape in all cases. The rear stoop at the bottom of the step is hardscape. I believe it's going to be a concrete piece, it looks like on the elevations.
We did. We actually were looking to have a patio there, Mr. McCarthy. It'll be
So
directly under the deck.
So
Stone patio, stone areas, and then hardscape, concrete pad.
I'd like if my other fellow board members support me, I'd like to condition the plan to be revised to show all hardscape, so that we understand the area that has potential to be landscaped and greenscape, right?
Including sonotubes and things like that. You want to know where the sonotubes are going to go.
I'd like to know where any hardscape is going to be so that we will understand what potential infiltration we have for soil conditions, which is an improvement to what's there now, I'm sure, but in any event.
And we do have soil, we do have a drainage plan.
I see that.
Now, so,
No,
we do have.
I understand, but typically what's required is any paved surfaces to be shown on the plans, such as the entry walks. If you have an outdoor patio, the rear stair stoop, that kind of thing should be on the plan so we understand what's going to be green. Speaking of green, what is happening around the areas in the back? Is it mulch, gravel, grass?
Gravel for under the deck area, and then grass in the remaining area.
I'd like to see on the revised plan that indicated so we understand that we are going to have grass, which I think is wonderful, by the way.
Yes, sir. And in the small landscape plan that I'm not sure if you had the opportunity to see, and I know it was last minute
Yes.
today.
I-
There is a note under the plant list, Mr. McKay, that says all non-paved surfaces shall be loamed and seeded, and there shall be bark mulch placed around the proposed plantings. So that's in a starred note under the plant list.
I'd like to see that on the plan, though, as far
Not
as
a problem.
identifying the spaces that are going to receive the loam and seed grass. Yeah.
I can do a small little color rendering for you, Mr. McCarthy.
Well, whatever it is, I just think a document indicating that we're going to get grass is what I'd like to see.
No problem.
Perfect. So I guess we have 2 parking spaces in each unit, and we have 22-foot drive aisle down the center with this 6-foot dimension for vehicles to turn into the driveway, into the garages, which is a little tight but doable. We really don't have any way of getting 2 additional spaces that I can see.
I tried, Mr. McCarthy. Believe me, my client was very adamant about me not having to come see you folks, but I couldn't get 2 more spaces. I apologize.
I agree. I don't see it as a possibility without a drastic change. So I think I can support the variance for the parking. And I think the restraint of only going 6 feet with the decks is worthwhile. I think the units really benefit a lot by having the decks. I'm really surprised by the size of the units. I don't mean to press or poke a bear or anything, but why 6 units and not more? The units are very wide, wider than typical.
Because parking is always going to be an issue at this site,
Yeah,
just the
I agree.
configuration of it and the standards that are set by the city as it relates to it. I
Okay.
did, in fairness, speak to a number of the nonprofits about possibly doing something at this site. Makes a lot of sense in that regard. But then you're talking about a lot of changes as it relates to, parking and other things. Now, there are some ways to do that, but the expense is just, kind of gets, up there. So if then you're talking a lot more units or a lot more bedrooms and a lot more designed to the area that obviously it could happen. I mean, it really could. When I designed this and looked at it, I thought, I could probably fit 8, and then I was thinking 12, and then I went down to 6 because I felt like, this is the least. If you're coming in and you want to get this in and out, I was very surprised that I needed to find 2 more parking spaces, as Ken alluded to. But I thought I would be all set with this site because it appears to be pretty, spaced out pretty good, and there's enough room, and of course the parking inside the units is terrific. It's going to make the place much
Gorgeous.
nicer. So much easier for everybody. There's not going to be any real problems as to where somebody parks, and so in doing that, but they're big units, but again, it's the area and it's the regulations on how many parking spaces you can actually get. If this was going to be something with one of the nonprofits and they show that people don't have cars or we're going to use public transportation and so forth, well, that's a different story. But that's not what I'm trying to do here.
Very good. Well, I appreciate the restraint. I think they'll be very successful. And I really like the idea of developing this lot because this is underutilized by far. And so this is wonderful. So if it's just that one condition, if my fellow board members would support me, I'd like to look in favor on this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. I am back via phone. Zoom is not working for me tonight. I apologize. I want to thank Mr. Peck for jumping in so eloquently as always. That being said, would be Sean.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I like the utilization of the of property. Very well developed. My questions were with regards to the back, with regards to the area of Wigan Court. I understand you got a, looks like you have a kind of a roll-out fence there, Ms. Melania. That, how is that going to be maintained?
That is correct. That would be maintained by the condominium association. There'll have to be a created condominium association for these 6 units. Each unit will have a condominium fee that's associated, and that fee would be utilized to keep up the contents of the fence. It's also any additional landscape, hardscape, and building requirements throughout the years of this development.
Okay. I mean, I like the idea of the rolling gate. That seems to work in that instance. I think my concern is though with that's a Wigan Court, the plans, it says it's a private wide area. So is that going to be? I mean, do you know who owns that area, or is that the city, or?
Yeah, so theoretically,
property?
Wigan Court it's a private way. So for all intents and purposes, it's 16 feet wide. Each property owner adjacent to the private drive owns to the middle point of that private drive. So if you look at the particular lot plan for this lot, we own 8 feet into Wigan Court, as the neighbor across the street owes 8 feet to the center line to adjust our location as well. So each person on the Wigan Court has the right to pass and repass, so we can't block it. We can't put anything permanent on it. We can't cover it. But what we can do is we can put fencing alongside of it and utilize it as we need to for emergency vehicle.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, that's good too, but you also mentioned about snow storage as well, and it's going to be blocking up snow.
Yeah, so the plan isn't to throw snow storage, obviously all across. The gate itself is going to be a 12-foot wide gate. So we have about 10 feet of an area to locate snow storage in that back right-hand corner.
Just,
Okay.
and just to make clear, on either side of the property, Habitat for Humanity at some point in time had received variances to be able to, access that property, to be able to drive, pass and repass over it. So it was
they went-
something, that they did, right, Ken?
Well,
And that
Well, they went one step further and actually utilized Wigan Court for frontage, where in this particular case, we're not doing that, right?
they did frontage
Right,
and
we're only utilizing Wigan Court as emergency access for emergency vehicles, and if by chance someone in the condominium has to go somewhere, if Rock Street entrance is blocked.
and the city does plow it.
That is correct.
Wigan Court.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. That makes sense. It kind of. I don't know if we need to condition anything on that as far as you said the condo association will be formed and they're going to be. I don't see this. It seems to make sense. You can't get it. It's a 16 wide private way. I'm sure that the condo association, which especially when you got the gate that you're going to be putting.
Yeah, I thought that if we left it open, Mr. Callahan, it might be used as a cut through and not sure what's happening over there in Wigan Court. So we felt this best. We didn't need to utilize it for this particular project. And we felt that, would be not wise for us to close it off completely if there needed to be some emergency access. So we thought that the rolling gate would be the easiest and, most, I guess, easy way to move forward. We'll put a firebox gate on it for the fire department so that we can provide a key to the City of Lowell Fire Department. Should they need it for access, they can gain access with their universal key. And then obviously the tenants would have access to the lock as well.
That's good to know. I like the new plans with the fencing, shading of the decks on the left-hand side, which would shield them from the tenants goes back to. I think that I don't see any real issues with this project. It actually it's a very useful purpose for the lots. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, I agree with Sean, member Sean and Dennis that, I mean, this will definitely be an improvement to the neighborhood, this lot. So I do see the concern about the parking, which, as I've driven around that street. So, hopefully, with your request, for spacing, that would help alleviate or not add to any congestion, but I don't have any objections either.
Thank you. Mr. Peck, any other comments?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say that I actually think this is a pretty good project. Very well done and very scaled appropriately to the site and to the neighborhood. I think the relief that Mr. Laney and Mr. Jenkins is coming for today is very reasonable, and I think it fits in with like the scope of the project. And that lot has been underutilized. So overall, I have no objection. Those are my comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, once again, you have paired up. You've taken on a project within the city, a project that will enhance the neighborhood. Your due diligence, you're prepared. And again, I know both Mr. Lanier and Mr. Jenkins always have their client, but in their best interest, their future clients, but their foremost interest is always the neighborhood and the city. And I think that's it's a good established practice within the city we should all acquire to. Just as it relates to Mr. McCarthy's condition, I did hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there's excess snow, you're gonna cart it out of there. If you
That is correct, Chairman Perrin. It would be a bylaw within the condo association regulations
Okay.
after a certain amount of snow received that the snow would have to be removed off-site. I think typically somewhere in the range of 2 foot or 3 foot is a typical amount. As far as
If they can't pack it up higher or around those two side areas, it becomes obvious that you just can't put it anywhere else. It has to go. So if you guys remember the one that I did over on Lakeview Avenue a long time ago, I had the same issue on a narrow. We had asked for a variance that was actually for Ed Partika along the canals, and same
I
thing.
remember that. Yep.
And same thing
I
at
remember that.
a point there when we had some snow, and it happened to be like a really bad winter that year, and we ended up trucking snow out of there like 3 different times, only because we had nowhere else to put it. Trust me, if you can put it someplace and safely, put the snow in an area that allows people to pass and repass safely, and you're fine, you're going to do that. But once you get to a point where you can't, then this association itself, kicks in with some language in there that says it has to be removed. So
Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And that's a good parallel. I remember that project now you bring it up. Any other comments by any other board members? With none taken, I'd like to have a motion, Mr. Clerk.
Well, the only condition I had, you mentioned the snow removal. The only condition that was brought up was the revised plans showing the hardscape locations and grass on the deck. But do we have a condition on the snow removal as well?
I don't think it requires a condition because it's going to be maintained in the bylaws, and if the inspections get involved, it's a
So
little.
with that, the condition again was revised, the applicant to provide revised plans showing all hardscape locations, grass.
That's correct. Yep, perfect.
Right. With that
And
said,
you're
may I have a
agreeable to that, Ms. Lania?
I am
Sorry,
absolutely.
I
That
made
we
the
are
motion.
amenable to those conditions. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Clerk.
with
Sorry
that,
for the,
through you, Mr. Chairman. No worries. I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-38 to 6169 Brock Street for variance approval under section 5.1, minimum side yard setback, section 6.1.4, off-street parking for 1.5 spaces, with the previously mentioned condition.
may I have a second?
I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. May I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve of condition.
Member Peck,
Approve the condition.
Member Callahan,
Approve a condition.
Member McCarthy,
Approve a condition.
Member Procope.
Approve it conditions.
Gentlemen, you've been unanimously approved. We wish you the best of luck with this project, and thanks for coming forward with it.
Excellent.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Have a good
members. I
evening,
appreciate
everybody.
it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
You too.
Take care, stay safe. Moving forward under continued business, ZB 2020-41, the special permit, DSM MB II LLC at 11 Wood Street, 657 Princeton Boulevard, section 6.3.4. DSMB MBII LLC has applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals seeking special permit approval to install a 34 square foot internally illuminated monument sign at 11 Wood Street, 675 Princeton Boulevard. Sign will be in the Regional Retail RR zoning district and needs special permit approval under section 6.3.4 for all other relief required Lowell zoning ordinance. Is the petitioner with us tonight?
Yes. Good
Can you tell us
afternoon.
a little bit? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Brandon Courier. I am from Barlow Signs, representing DSM MBLL 2 LLC, which is Market Basket. I'm here in front of you all tonight seeking special permit approval to allow internal illumination secondary monument sign as noted, located at the intersection of 11 Wood Street and 675 Princeton Boulevard. Having illumination in this sign helps the wayfinding public navigate to this entrance. This creates a less dangerous main intersection because it splits up the traffic a little bit better. This plaza, as you guys know, is currently undergoing many renovations, all to better the aesthetics of the neighborhood and looks of the community. Having illumination in this sign will not put any burden on the surrounding properties. Our sign will also not have any impact on the environment nor any additional fiscal impact to the city or any other services. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. That being said, I'd like to open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This seems like a pretty good idea, just for that corner of on Wood Street and Princeton Boulevard for the plaza. I think the one question there was that EPD brought up, but what we usually ask is hours of illumination that are attended by the applicant. I see that the CVS there is going to be at 24/7.
Yeah, sorry, you get cut out a little bit. I believe you're talking about the hours of when you would like the sign lit. Is that correct?
Yeah, for the hours of illumination.
Yes, so you are correct about the 24 hours CVS. The intent is to have it illuminated for all hours of operation. So that would be from dusk to dawn.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, especially with the 24.
Exactly, and it is CVS, and if people need to get there into an emergency or a quick thing, they're going to need to be able to see where they're going for that.
I know we usually put time limits on these. I don't know. I'll see what my other fellow. Other than that, this doesn't, I don't see any.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask a couple questions about the internal illumination system. I'm assuming it's an LED system
Yes.
at this
that's
point. It's
correct.
all LED. Is there I'm cringing at the day this happens to us, that all these signs just go flat screen and it's just a digital image that gets projected up there and changed whenever they want to, and who knows what happens. It doesn't have any of that technology. This is just an internal cabinet with LED lighting and Lexan surfaces with the vinyl letters.
That is correct.
Thank
This sign has no ability to be, as you stated, an electric message center. So the displays cannot be changed unless we go back and physically remove the acrylic sheet and put in a new piece.
Okay, I'm all for that. What's the width of the box? What's the width? I don't see a dimension. Is that 2
I'm sorry.
feet?
I can
1'8"?
share my screen right here if this will help. Let's see if I can do this.
I see the side dimensions, but not the width.
Yeah, so the width of the entire cabinet is 7 feet wide, and the height is the 4 foot 10 inch.
No, is it? I think the CMU base is about 2 feet, and then the cabinet itself is probably 20 inches or 18 inches. What's the width?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me pull that up.
You don't have that on the dimension.
Yep, I do see that on the sheet that you were looking at there, and there is no dimension there. Let me see if I can pull that up for us real quick while we're on this call. I do not have it called out, but the base itself is 2 foot 6 inches. That was provided by the masonry. So it looks like there is about 4 inches or so on each side.
All right.
So I would say around 18 inches or so.
And is there a sign on the side facing the cars in the parking lot?
No, there's not. That's just a solid aluminum back.
So that'll be the bronze tone or whatever the metal material is?
Yep, that is correct. It'll all be painted the same color to match.
Got it, okay. And does the location of the sign have anything to do with when the bridge is built, and it's a 4-lane bridge, and suddenly we have to widen Wood Street? Do we have to then revisit the sign location at that point? Because that's coming, right? That's only a few years away.
I can't speak to that. I'm unaware of any sort of bridge widening or anything like
If
that.
you were from Lowell and you're in the Highlands, you would know all about this.
I believe it's right around the corner, Mr. McCarthy.
I'm counting the days. I think we're only, roughly 5 years away, but in any event, all right.
But if it is, we can definitely address that that matter when it arises.
Okay. I have no further questions. This makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. George? Excuse me.
I don't have any questions either. I think it's I think it's a pretty simplistic in the sense of what's being attempted to be done here, and I don't have any issues. No questions.
Great. Thank you, George. Ben?
And then this is pretty straightforward. I think it makes sense that they're updating and with the marketing and signage. So it makes sense to me. I think it'll be fine. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So the only condition, Mr. Clerk, would be the hours of illumination, dusk to dawn, 1 hour before, 1 hour after. Any other comments by any board members? With none said, Mr. Clerk, may I have a motion, please, sir?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-41 for 11 Wood Street and 657 Princeton Boulevard for special permit approval under section 6.3.4 to install a 34 square foot internally illuminated sign with the condition that the illumination be 1 hour before sunrise to 1 hour after.
Thank
1
you.
hour
May I have
after
a second?
sunset. 1 hour before sunset to 1 hour.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clark. May I have a second, please?
This is Van Tech. I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with condition.
Member Peck,
Approve with condition.
Member Callahan,
Approve a condition.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with condition.
Member Procope.
Approve with condition.
So you've been unanimously approved. We wish you the best of luck with the installation of your sign.
Thank you,
Stay
Mr. Chairman,
safe.
members of the board. Very much appreciated, and I will probably be seeing you guys soon.
Great, thank you. Thanks for being well prepared, coming to these meetings with Barlow signs.
So thank
Well
you very
done.
much. I appreciate that. You guys have a great evening.
You
Take
too.
care. Moving forward, under new business, we have ZB 2020-42, variances. Don Farm at 50 Wentworth Ave, Section 5.1. Don Farm has applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals seeking variance approval to modify the existing lot lines of two parcels at 50 Wentworth Avenue that have merged for the purpose of zoning and build a new single-family home on one of the parcels. Both lots are in the suburban single-family SF zoning district. The new home will require variance approval under section 5.1 for minimum lot size, minimum lot area per dwelling unit, minimum frontage, and the existing dwelling will require variance approval under section 5.1 for the front yard setback to exceed the maximum allowed floor area ratio, FAR, and for any other relief required of Lowell zoning ordinance. Is there a representative for the petitioner here this evening?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir. Please tell
Thank
us a
you.
little bit about your project.
Yes, good evening, Mr.
Good
Chairman,
evening.
board members. My name is Tan Pham. I'm sure the board on some neighborhoods in Lowell will get more oppositions than others when the project is presented in front of you. I understand that nobody wants anything new to be built in the proximity of their property. If it was all up to us, we would all want 500 feet of setback from all our neighbors. That's very hard to do in this day and age, considering the housing shortage and the shortages of available lands in the city. Ever since I'm not sure if I should say this. Ever since the project was advertised, I received some anonymous calls on my cell phone. Quite frankly, it was very nasty and barbaric calls. I was very surprised by that, but I know what to expect today. Now about my project, why I think a single family in this vacant lot is feasible and reasonable. First, the parcel was subdivided into Lot A and Lot B in 1961. I proposed to add even more frontage and more lot area to the old lot because I want to make it more like a perfect rectangular lot. The reason I want to make it bigger and better because I plan to live here with my family for a very long time. I have researched and compared this proposed lot to all the surrounding properties. I submitted the result to the ZBA. I hope you receive that. Basically, this proposed lot is bigger than around 70% of them. I think the two variants that is fairly conservative compared to all the projects presented in front of you before. Just like I said, it is really a flat, beautiful lot. And just like I mentioned, Lowell, we just don't have that many nice, beautiful land left. The proposed house is of reasonable size. It will leave plenty of space to meet the front, the back, and rear setbacks. According to Office of Engineering, Wentworth Ave Street is due to for improvements and repair, but was delayed due to budget shortfall. Well, I think this is an opportunity for the city to get increased tax revenue. I believe I can build a house that will last 100 years or beyond. That is like 700,000 or more tax revenue to the city. A single family, this lot, I think it is very consistent with what we. I think it will increase the neighborhood value. The proposed house will be fully fenced. Both the single family on lot A and the proposed single family on lot B will have completely off-street parkings. Last but not least, we believe we are good neighbors. We never bother or cause any problem to our neighbors. That's all I have to say. I know my voice has some accent. If there's something that you don't understand or you want me to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. We appreciate that. That being said, I'd like to open it up to the board. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of public hearing is now closed.
I'd like to
Anyone
speak in
wishing to-
favor. There was one person had his hand up
Oh.
to speak in
Oh,
favor.
okay. Okay, you can bring them in, Jared. Person and gentleman in favor? Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Fitson.
David Fields End. I live at 25 Wentworth Avenue. And I just want to say that I support the project. It looks like a good site plan. It looks like that, you know, the applicant was saying it conforms to the neighborhood character in that, in terms of front yard setback, for the existing dwelling, and in terms of the frontage and the lot area for the proposed lot, is equal to or more than most of the lots on the block. It seems like a good plan. I like that they're proposing sidewalk where there is a gap in the sidewalk there. And my only concern would be that 15-inch maple shown within the right of way would be protected during construction. But otherwise, I support the project. It looks like a good plan.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming in tonight. Any others wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
Yeah, I'd like to speak in opposition.
Good evening. State your name and address for the record.
Cause of Directors 40 Wentworth Ave, Lowell, Mass. I abut the property.
Okay.
The individual who purchased the property is in the process of, there's a garage in the back of the house, and I think his intent is to also make that a unit to rent or live in addition to the house.
So if we could just speak to the petition itself and not.
Yeah, I oppose. I'm a butter, and I oppose because it doesn't look like the parking or the driveway on the main unit will have to be relocated to my side of the house.
Okay. Is that all you have, sir?
Yes, I oppose.
Okay. Great. Thank you for calling in tonight. Any others wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition?
Mr. Chairman, someone has.
Okay, we could bring them in, Jared.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? You
Oh,
state your
hi.
name and address for the record. Hello.
Hi there,
Welcome.
can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please bear with me. I am not an architect or an engineer or a lawyer. I'm just a
Okay,
neighbor
if you
who
could
lives
just
at
state your
16
name and
Glenwood
address
Street.
for the record.
Yep, Nicole Scaff, 16 Glenwood Street. I live at the property directly behind the intended site. I am just curious. I have several questions for Mr. Pham. I guess my
Yes.
first question would be the driveway that you're intending to add into the property for the new house, which I believe is Lot B.
Yes.
My second question is, what will you be intending to do with Lot A, including the carriage and the barn, carriage house and the barn house? My third,
Uh,
do you want me to
um,
continue? Or do you want to answer as I go? Fine.
Excuse me, ma'am, you can continue. Pam, I'll get to this in a minute.
Okay,
Thank
just
you.
keep going.
Yes,
Okay. I do understand that Mr. Pham is looking for an 11 feet forgiveness on the frontage of the property. If I'm mistaken, please let me know. I guess my question is, if you're seeking forgiveness for the frontage of the 11 feet, building the new home on Lot B, then you will also need forgiveness to the barn, which is directly on the back of my property. So I guess I'm asking out of ignorance, are you looking for two non-conforming forgivenesses or just the one for the house that you're intending on building? There's a lot of unclarity here for me. My other question is based on the intended home size. Again, I'm not an architect or an engineer. Is it a 2-bedroom home? Is it a 3-bedroom home? I mean, basically, in my opinion, that size of land is enough for a pretty decent built-in swimming pool with a cabana. So for me, I can't visualize the size of this house you're intending to build. And then I guess my final question is that I read your application extensively. I do know that I believe you are currently living on Lowell Street in Andover at 540. You did mention that you spoke to the neighbors. I guess I was one of the neighbors that you might have missed. And I guess that's it.
yes. Should I
Right.
answer now?
Thank you.
Uh,
Yeah, so I'm going to continue with the public hearing, and then the questions will be brought forth from the board. I wrote them down.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other, thank you. Thank you for calling in tonight and participating in the meeting. So, Mr. Pham, what we're going to do is I'm going to continue the public hearing. If anyone in opposition, in case there are repetitive questions, and then we'll go to the board and we'll go through all these questions for the public at that time. So, returning to the public hearing, any others wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition?
Yes, so there's another hand up.
Okay, sir, may you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Kenneth Hood, and I'm at 18 Wentworth Avenue.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I have a few items. Number one, I never received any proper notice on this. I just quickly put this together. I go online and printing out some stuff today. When I heard about this, I never spoke to Mr. Pham. And Mr. Pham, I'm sorry for any communications you were getting, negative communications that you're getting. I don't know. That's not right at all. I'm sorry to hear that. But first of all, there was a notice set up on a property I know, but it was set back about 25, 30 feet from the sidewalk. You have to walk on the property and get halfway through the property before you're able to look at the notice. You know, that was posted. So I never heard from anybody. I never spoke to Mr. Pham. And
Sir, if I asked you, did you receive a letter from the city of the direct abutter?
no, I did not.
Okay. And what was your address again, sir?
18 Wentworth Avenue.
Okay. Okay, so we'll check the abutters list. Okay, continue. Thank you.
Okay. Also, I have some questions in that. First of all, Wentworth Avenue is a pretty well-traveled thoroughfare. It's a bus route, and it's a connection between Andover Street, Route 133, and Roger Street, Route 38. And as it is now, it's somewhat of a bottleneck, and you have cars that have to park on a curb, over the curb, in order to allow for two-way traffic. And especially a bottleneck when it comes down past Manzer and then past Glenwood and into, towards the end, towards our end to Andover. So parking is definitely a concern for me as to what what this off-street parking would consist of. It's just a lot of the lots that he's discussing is saying that they're a lot less than 10,000 feet. Well, those are pre-existing conditions that existed decades and decades ago for when those houses were built. I'm not sure since when, but since then there were standards set, and that's the 10,000 square feet. So that's one item. Okay, as you're trying to say that these others are smaller. Yes, they are smaller, and they were grandfathered in a long time ago. So that's not an excuse in itself. Why his has to be less than 10,000 feet. Other items I have, it's just, does Mr. Pham intend to live on a property? Or is he plan to live on that property? Is that right? I see an audience. Yeah.
So we're going to take down questions and then present them to the board. And
okay. And
that was one of my questions as well. So
okay.
if you have any additional, we're going to itemize them out.
Now, because you own a house on Lot A, and now you're requesting to build a house on Lot B, right? And the house you bought on Lot A, I thought was when it was put up for sale, I thought they listed it as a two-family. Is that correct? On the one on Lot A, on number 50? And if so,
is that? Okay.
Yeah. And so you got Lot A with you call it the garage or carriage house. I'm not sure which is which. Then you got Lot B, which is just either garage or the carriage house. One is one, and one is the other. And by the way, the one on Lot B is in serious repair. I mean, that roof looks like it's sinking into the middle. And so that's another item is there any plans on what you're going to do with that structure on Lot B that's currently on there in back? And I wonder if do you own any other properties in Lowell or surrounding area? And if so, where are they? And are they in good stead as far as any city or town inspectional services are concerned? Do you have any outstanding issues or violations that you have, if you have any at all? If not, good.
Well, that particular series of questions, can't be relative to this petition. We have to stay direct to it. So
you can't be addressed here.
No, this isn't the form. This is zoning board of appeals. We're here to address the petition and review questions to the site property.
Okay, so I would have to go online and check. Huh?
I cannot direct you on how. You can call inspectional services. You can call the clerk's office, and perhaps they can help you with it. But the zoning board of appeals is not the forum for any other properties. No, we're going to deal with this property.
Because I'm just looking for a history of if we're going to allow this, who we have moving into our neighborhood. That's all. No,
I certainly understand, but we have our purview, and we don't want to overstep it.
Okay. So it's basically it. It's just I just I have my concerns. That's about it. And I'm wondering what, what he plans on doing with the structure in back on Lot B, which is the
Mhm.
site for the new house. And I would like some assurances that his off-street parking is going to be sufficient to allow a clear traffic flow in the area. And that's about it.
Well, thank you, sir. I've written down your questions as I have with previous neighbor there. And we're going to present these in order and get them answered for you. If you continue to watch, we'll have those. And any other questions or concerns that you brought up earlier, I would direct you to the EPD and to inspectional services. They can help you there.
Okay.
We appreciate you coming in and voicing your opposition.
Okay.
Any others? Thank you, sir. Any others wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Hi. Could you
My
state your
name is
name and
Nancy
address?
Chaney, and
Okay.
I am at 64 Wentworth Ave. I'm a little
Good evening.
nervous, so excuse me.
No.
But I also didn't get any notification that this was going on. I heard it from a neighbor. So I did call City Hall and they sent me the information. And being right
So, ma'am-
next door, I'm concerned as to why I didn't receive anything. But I
Ma'am, are
did,
you saying you did not receive an abutters notice?
I did not.
Okay. Okay. Could you? Well, we're going to address. We're going to address that. But if you could continue.
So my house is old. It was built in 1890. So I do have some concern about the project being built next door. Like, what will the construction look like? How will the foundation be built? I'm just concerned about my property value going down, or should something happen to my property because of the machinery. Also, I'm curious as to know, like, how tall is the house going to be? Where are the windows going to be? Will they be facing my windows? I have some expectation of privacy, I guess. I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't really know how. I just have concerns. Um, that's really all, I guess.
Okay.
I
Well,
mine is at this point, so I don't know if I should have my property surveyed, and should that be done by him or me?
okay. Well, I've written down some of your concerns. Certainly, if you have concerns about your lot line and your plot, that certainly should be addressed, whether you choose to have your property surveyed or not. That is your decision, but it's a requirement submittal for an appropriate plot plan for this particular lot of land. So that is going to be part of the public record. So that may be helpful for you.
Okay. Also, I see that there was a fence. I'm curious to know what the fence is going to look like, and how many feet there should be in between the property lines.
Okay.
Like, is there going to be enough space in between?
Okay. Well, those are some of the things that other people have raised. So we'll definitely be moving forward in our question and answer session as the board members with the petitioner, and we'll get these questions answered. Do you have any other concerns or questions, ma'am?
No, thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
No, our pleasure. Thanks for participating in the public hearing and coming on Zoom and or phone call, depending on how you're participating. Thank you kindly. Any others wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Any others wishing to speak in opposition? as I'm not on Zoom, is any other members seeing a window open of anyone other?
No, I don't see anyone else, Gary.
Okay, thank you. That being said, public hearing is now closed. Would like to open it up to board for discussion. Dennis?
Wow. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Three, I have a lot of questions about the application in general. Mr. Pham, do you have anyone else on your team tonight, or is it just you representing the project?
It's just me representing the project.
The application indicates that in the site plan that was done, that there is required and provided, but doesn't speak about existing. So if you go on the Lowell mass.gov GIS site for the lot, it states that you have only one lot in area of the 22,000 square feet. And it also states that the property is a two-family, listing two separate structures, one roughly a dwelling unit of 1,900 square feet and the other one of over 3,000 square feet. And it also indicates a square footage on the existing house that is different than what's indicated on the site plan. It's missing roughly a 15 by 18 square foot area that's not shown in the site plan. So I'd like to understand, first of all, what exists? Do we have a single lot as represented by the City of Lowell GIS tax information? Or is it two lots?
It is, I believe, it was merged because the main house setback. Can I answer now or?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, certainly. So I apologize, Mr. Pham. The board is going to have their own series of questions, and then after I will review the questions from the public.
Okay.
Thank you.
According to my understanding, and from what Jared told me, it was subdivided in 1961, but it was merged because the single family on the left side on lot A was lacking 8 inches of setbacks. So it is 22. No, it is 24.4. 24 feet.
So it currently exists as a single lot. We only have a single lot today for this property. And is it two separate dwelling units as stated in the taxes that you have the main house of roughly 3,100 square feet as a single family, and you have a second family dwelling unit in the structure behind the main house that's roughly 1,900 square feet?
No, it is a single family. As, I wish the tax records were correct, because you remember the project on Westwood Street where it was taxed as a 4-family, but I have to go to zoning appeal and that because it existed in record as single family. So but to be sure, this building on lot A is a single family. The carriage house in the back has been used as an office space. It doesn't even have heating system.
If it did have a heating system, is it taxed as a two-family?
I believe it is taxed as a family. Taxing, I don't think we can depend on the taxing, because just like I said, all the properties that I have has been taxed as like 4 families, but in reality, it's only single family. So it is single family.
Well, I understand your definition is a single family, but the structure in the back has a bathroom. And I believe it has at least these are spaces listed in the taxes. It has a bathroom, kitchen, bedrooms, roughly 1,900 square feet of living area. And you're saying it's an office, but if the city says it's a living area, it could possibly be converted back to a living area down the road, since the city has already accepted it as a living area, correct?
I can promise you and to satisfy you, we can put in condition that it will never be converted area.
I think it's existing as a living area, other than maybe the heating system that states that it's a steam heating system in the taxes. Maybe the steam heating system's removed or something. But so your intent is that existing. So your information on the site information, I think, would want to be updated to have existing information. So you're currently saying that you have a existing condition, right, wrong, or indifferent, that is 22,000 square foot lot, single lot, with 2 dwelling units on it, and you're converting it to 2 separate lots for 2 dwelling units, so each of them would be roughly 10,000 square feet. So you'd have what's accepted right now is a single 2-family on 22,000 to roughly 2 single families on 10,000.
No. My intent is to, but lot A will be single family, and
No.
lot B will be single family.
I think we're saying the same thing, but what you have currently, according to the way the city sees it, as far as what's documented by the city, is that you currently have a single lot of 22,000 square feet with 2 dwelling units on it. And you're converting a 22,000 square foot lot with 2 dwelling units on it to 2 single family lots with single family dwelling units on it, right?
No,
So you're
I
going to
want,
have a single family on lot A and a single family on lot B, correct?
that's correct.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you. I think you need to clean up the site plan to say that language, because it's very deceiving, especially if you compare it with what the city has for documents. You need to have in the lot, in my opinion, in the lot A, proposed lot A, you need to have a minimum lot area per dwelling unit, and you should have existing and proposed. And in the existing category, per dwelling unit, you have a minimum lot area, is 10,000 square feet. Existing, you have roughly 11,000 square feet per dwelling unit on lot A. And your proposal will be, whatever the new one is, roughly 12,600 square feet. So I just think the math should be precise and tied to what currently exists, so that we can compare what you're doing to what we currently have. And I see this as a reasonable solution, because you're not asking, you're taking a 2-family and you're keeping it a 2-family, but you're just separating the lots and making it clearly 2 larger lots per, or two. Right now, the way the 2-family operates is that they're tucked together on one side. And you're basically saying you want to have a single family and a single family side by side on roughly 10,000 square foot lot. Not quite. One's a little bit bigger, one's a little bit smaller, but roughly. Correct?
I'm not quite understand. Right now, as far as I understand, I don't know what. I mean, I understand that the tax assessor office is assessed as 2-family, but it is not a 2-family. Right now, basically, right now, 1,000 square feet. I believe it is, according to my understanding, it's only one single family. Average house in the Vectors.
I'm having trouble going forward with this application because it really feels to be out of sync with what the city documents say. And I think you need to clarify, for me at least, you need to understand what you have to work with as a base. Is it just a single family on 22,000 square feet, or is it two family today on 22,000 square feet?
Yes, I understand very clearly. It is a single family on 20,000 square feet. And I plan to subdivide it so I can do another single family on the right side.
This is critical to me because your documents don't say that you're, at least propose that you have one dwelling unit on lot A1. You don't list the minimum lot area per dwelling unit in your document there. You have the exterior existing carriage house. And for me, my fear is that if we were to grant an approval tonight, we could be granting 3 dwelling units. All right. And that's where I feel that we don't have clarity in the documentation as to what you have and what you're proposing. Because if we were to grant you a variance, for me, I could see, oh, well, gee, you should have the ability to, because the city taxes you currently on that existing carriage house, call it a dwelling unit. And you could come back to, whoever and say, I have every right to use this as a dwelling unit, in my opinion. So I'm just looking for some assurance that that existing carriage house is not a dwelling unit and will not be a dwelling unit, and you don't have the ability to say to the city, it's been taxed as a 2-family for 40, 50, 60 years, it should be a 2-family, whatever, right? And then you're in front of us again maybe for another variance, and I don't know. So I don't like the looseness of the documentation from that standpoint. Now, also the documentation of the existing house. So if you go to the city GIS map and the GIS and the card, it shows a room that's missing on the footprint. And I don't know if your FARs are tied to this, but there's a space that's built out on the northeast corner of the existing house that's not showing up on the site plan. So you're missing, 300 square feet of footprint, which might be 600 square feet of structure.
I believe it is. I believe it is in the site plan. Are you talking about the space on the addition on the left side? Looking at the property.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not sure the site plan that I'm looking. It is the 15.8 by 18.3 on the site plan.
Yep.
That is the addition.
So once again, if I go to the city information for tax assessments and GIS mapping and information regarding properties, it shows a bigger footprint than what you have on the site plan. So the document that you have in front of us to approve tonight or to rule on, whichever way, is inconsistent with what the city has in its assessment of the property. So did something get removed? Was something demolished at one point? Or is the site plan incorrect?
The site plan.
Anyway, again, it's something that I think we need to have some way to resolve here. But I'm a little nervous that I'm not looking at a clear picture. The other piece, the pavement for lot A1. You have 2 18 by 8 parking spaces shown. Is your intent to remove the pavement that exists beyond those 2 parking spaces?
Yes. So basically the off-street park lot A, we will remove that handicap ramp, and then it will have the width of it will be 14.4. The driveway for lot A1 will be 14.4. So that is enough for two stock parking.
And there will be just 2 parking spaces there.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, that would be an improvement. I don't think we need to have more pavement on the project than is necessary. But it seems inconsistent. So on the other side, you have a driveway for the proposed 2-family that's much wider. The proposed driveway on the other side is maybe what, 12 or 15 feet wide?
Yes, because we're trying to make a bigger driveway to go into the existing garage. We try to keep that garage because it's a sound structure instead of demolishing it. Trying to use that as the garage for the proposed house.
I'm trying to follow your logic. But if you're just accessing a garage, why does the driveway need to be wider than 8 feet wide?
Well, because to be honest, I plan to live there. So I try to make it as comfortable as possible for myself and for my family.
Okay. All right, well. All right. So I'm not going to quibble about that, but on the other property, you're giving them a very minimal amount of pavement, and it just seems inconsistent because the other property on Lot A is a larger property. It's a larger square footage. It's a larger property. You're giving them less parking, and the property that you're proposing to add to build is a smaller property, and you're giving them more parking, more pavement. So the concern about parking for the existing, single family, if you will, that could be, 5,000 square feet, depending on how the city department, it's 3,100 for the main house and 2,000 for the carriage house. So, and you're only giving them 2 parking spaces. I'm imagining it's a 4-bedroom house, maybe, and I'm guessing that they're going to need more parking than that. But, all right. So, math-wise, I think you got something that works because you could potentially do this by right. If you were surgical about it, you could say you could get 2 10,000 square foot lots out of something that's bigger than 20,000 to begin with. And you could potentially get 2 single-family houses there by right without going for zoning. But you'd have to do some surgery to the properties to get rid of the variances. I would like to see you come back with the math corrected so that we understand exactly what the city has for documents, what you are proposing regarding the existing conditions in the 2-family, and really, really do some cleanup here on these documents, because I think the footprint of your existing house is not shown correctly. I think you're missing roughly 600 square feet in that existing house on your existing site plan. And I haven't gone through all the math to figure out your FARs to see if you're using the wrong square footage. So I think we need to continue this, in my opinion, because I don't think the documents, I feel, are accurate today, the way they're presented. That's all.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I did, to be honest with you, that's why I said what is existed in the city website is not correct, because I did look at it too, and I did verify with because this is prepared by the surveyor, and I did particularly go over the measurement itself, and the area is correct as shown. So the left side, the addition on the left side is really this error shown in the site plan.
Okay, so
I
maybe
mean, I
it's
can go back and
so maybe on the site plan, you're missing a deck. Maybe that area is a deck. Maybe you're not showing it correctly
no,
because it's
there,
really
there
a
is
deck.
no deck.
In the photograph I have
There
on
is
Google
no
Earth,
other.
it shows a trellis over that area.
Excuse me,
So
can you say that again?
in the photograph I have from Google Earth, it shows a trellis in that area over something. Is it a patio or a deck or something? There's something there.
No, there's no.
Is it a
There is
structure?
no
Is
deck
it a
there.
patio? Is it a deck? Okay, well, I'm not feeling confident with your site plan.
Okay.
And
I guess I can.
and I look at that images of the carriage house, and it's a livable space. I understand you're saying that it's not got heating system in it, but it's listed as a dwelling unit. It probably was a dwelling unit one time. And I understand you want to not have it as a dwelling unit, but none of your documents even say that it was a dwelling unit or today it could be used as one. So none of your documents, you don't even have a line item for minimum lot area per dwelling unit in the lot A1 section. So it's almost as though you were just not addressing it.
Okay. So if I was so your concern is about the carriage. If I was to demolish that carriage house, does that make you feel better about supporting the project?
It's not about demolishing. I don't want to see a lost value just because you want to, dot the i's and cross the t's. I want to see a clarification that lot A1 is strictly a single family. I don't want there to be a potential down the road where you say, look, the city accepted it as a two-family for 60 years. The city should accept this as a two-family. I don't know, but I just want to have assurance in the documentation that it's a single unit on lot 1A. And that's what we'd be approving. And like I say, that it's not clear in the documents that you presented what you're doing on lot A1 as far as the residents there.
Okay. Okay, so I will get the verification that lot A1 is a single family.
Please.
Yes.
Yep. If you did, by chance, demolish the garage, there would be a potential of redoing, or the carriage house, or redoing the property line, so your 941 square feet of relief could go away. And you
Yes,
could have 941 square feet right there.
Yes, and yeah, I do understand that. The thing is, I try to keep the reason why I do this because I try to keep the carriage house because it's still a very strong structure. It would be such a waste of to demolish it. We can use it for storage or office.
I'm on your side. I don't think there's a big amount of relief that you're asking for. And if you did demolish it, you could do what you need to do by right. My assurance is that you're taking a two-family that exists today potentially, and you're maintaining it. You're just subdividing the lot into almost 10,000, just under 10,000, that kind of thing. So anyway, I'd just like you to clean up the documents, please. And let's get some clarification on the two-family that exists in the city documents and understand exactly what you're doing with the existing carriage house, please.
that it, Mr. McCarthy?
That will go a long way for me feeling better
Okay.
about supporting this. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sean?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a couple questions. Kind of following up Dennis's point. I too think that there's still a lot of things we need to do this project. One thing I did notice, at least on the one, the proposed house that you say you intend to live in on Lot B, we don't have any, you didn't provide any floor plans as to how it's laid out. We don't know how many bedrooms are going to be in there. Also, looking at it, I see, at least on the, I can't tell like how the property is going to be structured, especially in the instance that you look like you have a proposed deck that you're going to put on the right-hand side of the building. Whether that's going to encroach on any side yard setback. So those are things that really need to be clarified to review this project.
Yes,
more thoroughly.
sorry. Yeah, we plan to have it in the front of the property.
The deck?
Yes, the deck is in the front, not the.
It looks like it's on the side based on what you provided. You get the front elevation, you got the front of the house, and then you got a deck on the right-hand side. It looks like it's on the side of the property. That's what was provided for the proposed elevation for the house for Lot B.
Okay, I will clarify that too.
Well, that also needs to be clarified on the and it has to be clarified on the site plan as well, because the site plan only shows a breakdown of, I believe, just the square footage of the lot of where the proposed house is going to be laid out. But I don't know if that deck is how that deck affects that proposed layout of the house, because that's if that is it part of that square? Is it outside of it? Because does that put us into an issue where you're going to be encroaching on your neighbor's lot on at 68 Wentworth? So that's something that needs to be that's something else that also needs to be clarified. Also, we would like to. I mean, to Dennis's point, it would be good to see the floor plans for the dwelling unit on Lot A1 itself, as far as the house. I mean, you say it's a one family. As far as Dennis was talking about, as far as the footprint is concerned, I can see from what he's saying, looking at the picture from Google Earth or Google Streets, it's hard to tell what's on the back end of that little that side area on the left-hand side, because it looks like there's something that's encroached. There's something back there. It looks like almost like a vine thing that maybe on top of the deck or something. That maybe
you mean,
that's why the city has.
I think I
the back. There's a.
Sorry, I don't know how to access the Google Earth. But behind that deck right there, there's a the thing for the grapefruit to climb on.
Yeah.
Because they are very big grapefruit. There are 3 grapefruit trees they climb on. How would I say it? The hanging there. There's no
like a vine, like a whole area of like grape. Okay, but it kind of looks like we can't tell because there's a fence there, so I can't see it from this picture what that is back there. But to Dennis's point, the city seems to have it laid out as part of the structure, at least on their map on the GIS. So I don't know if the city's wrong or what is, but I think getting the floor plans to that structure as well, laying that out to see what's back there would be helpful as well. So there's a lot of things in this project this thing that we really need in order to really evaluate this, including the floor plans for both what you're proposing in Lot B, floor plans for in the existing house. As far as the carriage house is concerned, if you're willing, like you said, if you're willing to put a condition on that it won't be used as a dwelling unit. I mean, I'm all for it. I don't think you really should have to tear it down. as
Yes,
long as it's not used as a residential unit. I,
I'm wi-
like, as far as it goes to the city, as far as tax collecting is concerned, I don't know, Jared, do you know anything about that? I mean, if we condition this on that, that back carriage house not being used as a dwelling unit, and then the lots are separated and it becomes a single, is that something that the city takes into account when they assess it for tax purposes?
I do know that and this is Jared Alvison, PPD. I do know that the way that the assessors operate is that they assess what they see, but I don't know how frequently they go back to different properties. So there can be instances where what is showing up in the property card is documenting something that is not legally existing, but say a 3-family when it's actually only a legal 2-family. There can also be instances, I'm sure, where something previously existed and people haven't taken it off the tax rolls, because we see those things happen all the time. If the applicant wants to know with certainty what the legal use of the property is, then he would need to file a legal use determination with the building department, and the building commissioner would then determine what the current legal use of the property is. And that's the only definitive way to know, because the assessor's information is not definitive for the purposes of zoning.
yes. Can I say something?
But to Dennis's point, I think we're obviously trying to avoid, if, like to say, if this project goes forward and Mr. Pham wants to agree to a condition on it that the carriage house would not be used as a residential unit, that both lots will be for single family purposes only. But to Dennis's point, what's to say that down the line, if 50 Wentworth is sold and then someone else wants to come back, say, well, this has been taxed as a 2-family all along, I want to convert it back to a 2-family. I think we're trying to get some assurance that
If the legal use
that may not
determination
happen in
says
the
that
future, I
it's
don't-
if the legal use determination says that it's a single family and the property line were drawn so that it was one single family on lot A and one single family on lot B, because of the limitation in zoning in this zoning district that only one single family can be on each lot, there would be no pathway to make a legal second family in that carriage house. And the only way to know what the current status of this property would be to have a legal use determination prepared by the building commissioner.
Okay, fair enough, though. Maybe just for that purposes, and again, Mr. Pham, I'm kind of I'm kind of that we should maybe continuing this so you get everything else in order, but especially what Dennis has been asking about getting the numbers reassessed as far as what the layout of the footprint is and the property. My opinion is we need the floor plans for both the existing dwelling and what you're proposing, which is inclusive of whatever is lot B, how the deck is going to be laid out, or decks, and other instances. And then at the time, maybe taking this time as well to get an assessment from the building commission as to what the lot 50 Wentworth has it determined as far as whether it's a 2-family or 1-family. And again, if you're conditioned, you're willing to agree to a condition that property, the carriage house will not be used as a residential unit. I think that's just putting everything up and just tying up all the loose ends of to continue this to try and tie up all these loose ends. That's my those are my thoughts on the project. I'll listen to my other fellow board members.
Chairman Perrin, your phone may be on mute. It was giving us some feedback before, so I believe you can unmute it yourself.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Van?
Yes, sir.
Through you, Mr. Chairman,
Oh.
I do want to say, I want to thank all the speakers this evening for coming out, for speaking, on behalf of this position, whether they're for or against it. I know it's not always an easy thing to come out and voice your, opinion in a public forum. So I appreciate it. I know my members, my colleagues appreciate it too as well. And that helps us weigh the decision, what to do on certain things. I do agree with my colleagues in terms of, Mr. Pham, maybe going back to the drawing board and just, as Mr. McCarthy said, kind of crossing your T, dotting your I's in terms of site plan and documentation and to Mr. Callahan's point, kind of tying up loose ends. I also want to add, if we continue this matter, my recommendation to you, Mr. Pham, is to really talk to your neighbors, talk to the butters around the area. I think they bring up some valid concerns. I think they want to do what's right by you, but by the neighborhood as a whole. So I think, if we continue this, I really think you should talk to your neighbors. There are a lot of concerns and good input, in my opinion. So I just wanted to add that. So those are my comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Van. George?
Thank you, Mr. Pham. I'm sure you feel like you're in the hot seat a little bit, but hopefully that, as you go back to the drawing board and try to put it together, and as the Vice Chairman Peck said, I think that was the first thing to my mind, the fact that a few abutters felt that they weren't notified. I think going back to the drawing board and making them feel a little bit comfortable and some of the things that Mr. Callahan and Mr. McCarthy addressed, I think is very valid. So, we all hope, for success, but it's, you want to have something that your neighbors, would feel comfortable with as well. So, I appreciate, the effort. But I think it's, as the other members said, it's probably best that you, go back and put everything together. And the fact that the concern that your plan and what the city has is a little bit different. We can, work on trying to get that, in sync. But that's all I have.
Thank you, George. Prior to my comments, I just want to make notice for the public record, we are in receipt of a letter of opposition via email to this is DPD from Mr. Cornelius Desmond at 3436 Wentworth Avenue. He is opposed to this due to several concerns that have been outlined by previous speakers and neighbors. That being said, I agree with Mr. McCarthy wholeheartedly. This is, at this stage, Mr. Pham, this is it's an incomplete application. It doesn't define the lot lines. It doesn't define the existing structures. The concerns about the carriage house. I think part of the petition process and the application process is working with DPD, and most certainly, as the Vice Chair has mentioned, working and having open communication with the neighbors. I think it would be in your best interest to get a legal use narrative, so you can understand what you can do on that property. I can tell you this home and the clusters of homes within a 3 to 4 block neighborhood area is consistent with existing two families turned into single families, then turned back to two families. Over the course of 100 years, the interiors of properties have changed, but the zoning is particular to the land use itself. I also do agree with Mr. McCarthy. My original concern was a vote on this particular petition would very well turn this into a three unit property. the math equation is there. It's 22,000 square feet. It can be split, but there would have to be some demolition and some restructure. Certainly, a carriage house that is aged and may have a historical value. May be concerns of neighborhoods and others. I think there's a lot of, unfinished business here. I think a continuance at this point is the only thing that is practical due to the concerns of what is the land. And early in your comments, you made reference to a property in the Highlands, whether it was how it was taxed and so forth and so on. So I think that's the legal use you'll bring forward as part of your due diligence. I also think that a list of questions from your neighbors all have the same concerns. What is your plan with the driveway? How is Lot A and Lot B going to be split? What is the current plan and future plan of the carriage house? What is the true value of the fence and the fence replacement position between the properties? What is the actual height of the structure? There were concerns about windows. I can speak from my experience. We do not like properties to be blanked out without windows. It's a commercial setting, so these are all valid concerns and lists of concerns that, quite frankly, aren't here to be answered tonight. So I would strongly suggest, and we will be moving towards a continuance because it is not a complete application, that you touch base with DPD. You may seek, some legal counsel from a land attorney and get legal use identified so we can properly, determine which proposal is going to be accurate for this site. And into your, to your favor, you don't necessarily want to demo the carriage house, but in the same point, we don't want to see that if it is a habitable, a living structure, that we're not granting that variance as well, regardless of a heating system. So that being said, I am going to take the advisement of my colleagues of the board. We're going to move to a continuance. I will ask Jared his professional opinion on this application. Is this something that can be looked at, reviewed, and answered in a 2-week time frame, or is this more practical in a 30-day time frame as far as meetings go?
I think in this instance, in particular, because we are relying on the building commissioner to do a legal use determination, that it makes sense to continue to the second meeting in November to give appropriate time for that to occur and for the applicant to revise the site plan and provide floor plans. But if the applicant wants to go to a later date, then I think we can. But I do think the second meeting in November is the earliest that we should be reheard.
Okay. So at a minimum, Mr. Penn, we'd be looking at November 23rd, as recommended by Jared, who has the experience. And the other thing we're going to be looking into, and I had emailed Jared during this public hearing for full disclosure. We do want to find out what the status is of the abutters notice and letters, as we had 3 abutters make notice to us on public record that they did not receive that.
Mr. Chairman, can I say
Yes.
something? Yes.
Certainly.
So, as you know, every project before it is presented to the ZBA, we have to have a mailing certification, and obviously we got our mail certification, but unfortunately, to the post office cannot control what happened afterward. I hope, for example, I talked to Nancy before. You remember Nancy? I did not realize that you did not receive the mail. So that Thursday before the November 15th, when I talked to you, and you didn't remail, that night I personally tried and put it in the mailbox, a legal ad. I hope you can actually, you know, that to everybody. I mean, we have sign up, we have all the address and everything like that, but if it doesn't, it's like we there's no way we can control if it actually got to the intended addresses.
Yeah, that's not your requirement, sir. It's, there may be several factors involved in it, postal, lost mail, and other things. My only concern and my obligation for bringing it up is the due process of public notification. So that being said, are you comfortable with the 11/23 continuance, or do you want to go into December? It's your decision.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would like to. I would be comfortable with November 23rd. The reason being
Okay.
because I hope to get the project. Hopefully, I can get the, because office engineering was saying where they might redo the street soon, and after they, if they were to excavate it, I cannot do anything for 5 years. Which is,
Yeah.
that's why I tried to.
Agreed. Yeah, there's a lot here to be reviewed, so we're gonna move forward with the continuance. I'll strongly recommend you use the assets afforded to everyone with our wonderful DPD and building department and inspectional services and moving that line. And with that being said, may I have a motion, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-42 for 50 Wentworth Ave to continue the public hearing on this matter to November 23rd, 2020.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Judge. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve continuance to November 23rd.
Member Peck,
Approve continuance to November 23rd.
Member Callahan,
Approve continuance to November 23rd, 2020.
Member McCarthy,
Approve continuance to November 23rd.
Member Procope,
Approve continuance for November 23rd.
Okay. Will Mr. Femi have been continued to November 23rd? Please do complete your due diligence with the city, DPD, and other departments at your disposal. And thank you for coming in tonight. And as Mr. Vice Chair, I'd like to thank all the neighbors coming in tonight and speaking. I'd like to move on to new business, ZB 2020-45 for variances. Andrea Drolet at 207 Wentworth Ave, Section 5.1. Andrea Drolet is seeking variance approval to construct an addition to a single-family home at 207 Wentworth Ave. The home is a suburban neighborhood single-family SSF zoning district, and the addition requires variance approval under Section 5.1 to exceed the maximum allowed floor area ratio FAR and for all other relief required over Lowell zoning ordinance. Is the petitioner here this evening?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Could you tell us a little bit about your project, your home?
Sure. Andrea Delay. I've lived here my entire life. Grew up on the street. Love the street. Love the house. But unfortunately, really outgrowing it. Me and my fiance have 7 daughters between us, and we need some space. I really don't want to leave. So that's why we're kind of going about this way to see if we can make the house fit us better. I work in Lowell for the city. I mean, my whole life is here, so that's why we're hoping to just grow. The main goal is to basically go out 10 feet in the back and then up so that we can have the bedrooms upstairs. And then we wanted a porch on the front. And I guess we're short either a foot or 6 inches. So that's why we're here as well.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much for that, that narrative and description, and we'll move forward with the public hearing. Thank you. That being said, I'd like to open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the public for anyone wishing to speak in favor. In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. George?
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Did you say between you, you have 7?
Yes.
Okay.
7 girls.
Okay, and you do need to grow, huh?
A little bit.
I was looking at the site plan. I'm also not an architect, but the fact that I don't think you said you're going to go back a little bit and then go up. So you're going to build a second floor, right? That's what I've seen up there.
Correct.
Okay. And how many bedrooms?
We're hoping for 5.
5 bedrooms?
Yep.
Yeah, looking at the house on Google Earth, and I think I drove by a couple weeks ago. And your neighbors, I mean, the house next to the right of you, is that right? I'm looking at the footage. Are you planning to expand to near the neighbors as well?
No.
Okay.
Basically, the part that's in the back it's not going to go any closer to that fence. We're only building out towards the driveway, and it's going to stop where the house is now. It's almost like we're filling in that space, if you will. I don't know how else to say it. If that makes sense, I hope.
Okay. All right, so you're coming to the front, and then the driveway is staying as is, and you're just going on top?
Correct. Yeah. It's really just bedrooms, honestly, that we need.
With 7 children. I don't see a problem with it unless that I see that you're expanding a little too far, but I'm not an architect, so I can't, but from what I see, it looks fine to me, but I'm sure there might be some other questions, so I'll pass the buck. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think the request for the petition is very minimal. It's realistic. In terms of like the hardship, I think they meet the hardship for the requirement. So I have no reservations or anything. I think this can be done. And I wish Andrea the best of luck. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. John?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Generally speaking, I mean, I'm in approval with this, but the thing is, looking over the project, we really don't have any renderings of like what the floor plans are on the addition. One of the things that is kind of required in order for us to evaluate this, especially when we're dealing with it, floor area ratio situation where you're putting an addition on property, and it's kind of hard to gauge like where are the bedrooms laid out, what's the structure of them, how big are they, are there any, are you planning on putting any bathroom units or anything, what closet space, these are things we kind of need in order to evaluate this. So I'm kind of struggling a little bit with I mean, I'm with you. I want to, I want to be with you, but kind of tough to gauge when it's something that we really kind of need in order to engage.
Okay. No, I understand. It's
I'll
hard
listen
to,
to
it's
my-
hard to know where to start because we didn't want to go all out. Can you shut the door? I can't see. Because we don't know how much we're going to put into this and then have you guys say, no, you guys can't do anything. So we're basically going to try to just, bedrooms are, 10 by 10. They're just one kid a piece kind of deal, nothing fancy. I don't know. We could get both plans if we need them.
Well, how many bedrooms do you have already in the house here?
Right now, there are 3. One of them the master spans the whole house. So that's going to be, kind of cut in half right there. There's 2 right there. So that's why we think we're going to be able to pull off the 5 because it's just going to go back on the 2nd floor and the length of the house on the other side. So it's just going to be like a little L. And that's where we think the extra bedrooms are going to come in.
But you're planning on, so you have 3, but you're planning on adding 5 or you're planning on expanding them?
Oh no, we were hoping to kind of top out at 5. If we're lucky enough to get the 6, then everybody has their own room and everybody's happy. But we're looking at 5 to 6 total. We're not adding 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That makes a little more sense because then
Yeah.
then thinking, well, you have 3, now you're adding 5, so there's 8. That's
Yeah, no. No.
you got a big family, so.
Oh, I know. Believe me, it's plausible.
I'll listen to my fellow board members what I'm kind of gearing towards that. I think we probably need the floor plans to take a look at them. I mean, my other fellow board members want to condition on that being submitted for the approval of DPD as a condition.
Yep.
Those are my thoughts on this. I mean, like I said, this seems like a project that is will fit in with the neighborhood. You definitely have a hardship. Just that one thing.
Okay.
Keep an eye out. That's what I thought.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sean. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions, but I don't feel that there's really any big overly problematic concerns here where your addition is in the back of the house and you already have a piece back there that you would just be going up above. And so you're just filling in a void basically in the back there. A couple of problems, and I think that Sean nailed it, is you don't have the prerequisites completed. So part of the reason for having the prerequisites done is so that you understand what you're asking for. I think you need to do a floor plan, 1st and 2nd floor, to really plan out what you need to have so that is 10 feet not 11 feet or 12 feet, or is it 9 feet? So you really kind of figure out exactly what you need. Until you do that, you're guessing, and we're guessing that you know what you're doing. And so I don't think that we want to be guessing here. I think we want to have prerequisites that filled in correctly and done. And I think you have support. So I don't think it's a worry that you're doing something that may be for naught. But you should do it so that we know you know what you want and what you're asking for. Because right now it's a little bit loose. The site plan also has a structure in the back there. Proposed 2-story addition is shaded in, but the structure that you're going over isn't indicated as being removed. Is the addition in the back there staying intact?
No.
Okay,
No.
so we need to clarify a note in the site plan that you're removing the existing little bump out there because that helps. Because that's
Okay.
a little bit bigger, right? And just be clear as to that's being removed, the addition's going in, and then a floor plan indicating 1st floor and 2nd floor. I'd like to see on the site plan your driveway. It looks like you're increasing the size of your driveway. You have it kind of rough graded today, is that correct?
Yep.
So is that 15 feet wide? Is that more than what's allowed by zoning? So I'd like to see you have on the site plan what you're paving, what your new paving is going to be, because you want to make sure that you're getting things correct. You should have hardscape on your site plan, front walkway and sidewalk and any rear patio. Just to make sure that we have the total picture. I like your project. I think you should have this go forward. I'd just like to see it done correctly so that you don't miss something in the variance that you should be asking for. And we don't, have to come back and revisit this in 6 months because it was missed. So I think it's important to dot the i's and cross the t's, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. So Andrea, as you can see, what the request of the board is that we're going to need a site plan just to give an indication of the floor area ratio, because I'm glad you walked through with Mr. Callahan and clarified, because I read the application, and when you mentioned 5 bedrooms, and I know it's an existing 3-bedroom, you were doing 8 bedrooms, and I know you didn't. That's not the intent of this. It's to get at least 2, maybe 3 outlined within the new space in the addition. I don't think it's going to be time consuming. It's just a matter of getting your site plan and the FAR squared away. So I think we could. And Jared, please extend your professional knowledge. Is this something the petitioner can get done for the next meeting, or do you think it's going to require another push out? So I'm looking at either the 9th or the 23rd, because I'm sure the petitioner is anxious to break ground.
I would defer the petitioner on how quickly she can get floor plans drawn up and the site plan revised. I know that in general, the board does like to see materials 10 days prior to the meeting. So it could be tight to do the first meeting in November.
Okay. So, Andrea, your understanding that we need these as a requirement of your package. So I do recommend we continue this to the 23rd. That's something you're amenable to?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. That being said, we appreciate your time. As the members have indicated that we are in agreement, but we just have to be due diligent in the complete package and understanding what we're signing off on here. So that being said, Mr. Clerk, may I have a motion for continuance to 11/23?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-45 for 207 Wentworth Avenue to continue the public hearing on this matter to November 23rd.
May I have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin.
Approve continuance to 11/23/2020.
Member Peck.
Approve continuance to November 23rd.
Member Callahan.
Approve continuance to November 23rd, 2020.
McCarthy.
Approve continuance to November 23rd.
Member Perco.
Approve continuance November 23rd.
Okay. So you've been continued to November 23rd. Please work with DPD and provide those documents as required, and we can move forward at that time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. Be safe. Moving forward under other business, we have several items. We have the meeting schedule set forth for 2021. Any concerns, edits by any of the board members? None
I want to
being
commend Fran,
noted.
though. I like the idea that you brought up about summer schedule.
Yes.
Yes.
July and August.
Yes.
Or was that you, Jared? I'll give Fran credit.
No, I
That's
mean,
what I wanna
the planning board's been doing it for years, and for some reason, the other 2 boards hadn't. And we got the conservation on it this year, and so we wanted to share the wealth.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you kindly.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, that being said, I have a motion for meeting acceptance.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the meeting schedule for 2021.
I have a second.
This is Van Pack, second motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a roll call.
Chairman Perrin,
Accept the 2021 meeting schedule.
Member Peck,
Accept the 2021 meeting schedule.
Member Callahan,
Accept the 2021 meeting schedule.
Member McCarthy,
Accept the 2021 meeting schedule.
Member Procope.
Accept the 2021 meeting schedule.
So those have been accepted into the minutes. Moving forward on other business, we have minutes for approval for September 28th, 2020. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them and have any concerns for edits, deletions?
No.
Not here.
None being taken. May I have a motion to accept the minutes, Mr. Clerk?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minute for September 28th, 2020.
May I have a second?
I'll
George.
second.
Sorry, Dennis.
No, go ahead, George. You got it. You got it, George.
I second.
Second by George. That being said, may I have a motion, please, Mr. Clerk?
You might mean a roll call vote, Mr. Chairman.
No, roll call vote. I apologize. Sorry, gentlemen.
Chairman Perrin,
I accept the meetings for September 20th, 2020.
Member Peck,
Approve the minutes.
Member Callahan,
Approved minutes for September 28th, 2020.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the minutes for September 28th.
Member Procope.
Approve minutes for September 28th.
All right, minutes of September 28th has been accepted. Moving forward on to other business, we have the elections of the offices. Do we have any comments or concerns?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say that throughout my years on the board, my 9 years, I want to let you and the board know that I really enjoyed all the years that I've had the opportunity to help serve on the board and help the city and the residents. And that being said, sir, I wanted to nominate Gary Perrin as the chairman again for the office election. Throughout my years here, I've learned so much from so many people, especially you, Mr. Perrin. When I first got on in 2011, you were already an officer. You in the last couple of years, you've led the board and countless meetings with such grace and dignity, and really trying to look out and kind of come to an understanding for everyone involved, whether the petitioners or the neighbors. So I wanted to nominate Gary Perrin as chairman of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I appreciate your kind words. May I have a second?
I share the same sentiments as Mr. Peck, and I would second that.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. With that being said, may I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Accept the nomination for chairman.
Member Peck,
Accept the nomination of Gary Perrin for chairman.
Member Callahan,
Approve Gary Perrin for chairman of the board of the zoning board of appeals.
Member McCarthy,
Approve Gary Perrin for chairman of the zoning board.
Member Procope,
Who's frozen? Oh, he's, I thought it was frozen. Yeah, I approve, Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. I kindly appreciate the continued support. At this time, I would like to nominate Mr. Van Peck for vice chairman. I want to personally and professionally extend my gratitude to Mr. Peck on this board, moving close to a decade of time. Moreover, most recently over the last month and a half, due to professional and business commitments, I've had to I'll lean on Mr. Peck considerably to chair these meetings with changes in my work environment and travel schedule, and he's done yeoman's work, not only doing his role as a member, but as the vice chair and helping me captain this fine ship that we're all lucky to be a part of. So I'd like to nominate him. And with that, if I could have a second.
Mr. Chairman, I share the same sentiments as you as Mr. Peck. He's done a great job in filling in on occasions. I second that.
Very well. With that said, may I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve the nomination of Mr. Van Pack, Vice Chairman, Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yard.
Did we lose him?
Jared froze.
He froze.
Uh-oh, we need Jared.
We
We're
do we have
stuck.
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
Is it
He'll
the
come
clerk's
back.
job to follow up?
I believe, Mr. Clerk, you can accept the nomination and move forward with a roll call under Robert's Rules of Planning and Government.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, Jared's back. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Mute, Jared.
Welcome back, Jarrett.
You're on mute.
So, Jarrett, we have a nomination of Mr. Van Peck. We have a second by Mr. Callahan. We're seeking a roll call for his approval and nomination.
excellent. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm now closer to the router. Chairman Perrin,
Approve the nomination.
Member Peck,
Approve the nomination.
Member Callahan,
Accept the nomination of Van Pack for Vice Chairman of the Zoning Board.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the nomination of Van Peck as Vice President, Chairman of the Zoning Board.
Member Procope,
Approve the nomination of Vice Chairman Van Pack for the ZBA.
Right, that being said, congratulations, Mr. Vice Chairman. The other,
Thank you everyone for your kind words.
this time, I would seek a nomination for clerk to Mr. Sean Callahan. Sean has been the clerk of the zoning board, I believe, for 6 years at this point. My memory's holding me on. Sean has done an impeccable job. His knowledge of the zoning board of appeals, the laws, land law, and the use of his personal, professional attorney knowledge has set this board above what we usually expect from most board members, and I'm proud that he's on my left-hand side if we ever get back to a live meeting. So I would like to nominate him, and if I could have a second.
I'll second nomination.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve the nomination to clerk of Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for Mr. Sean Callahan.
Member Peck,
Colin as the clerk.
Member Callahan,
Approve nomination of Sean Callahan for clerk.
Member McCarthy,
Approve Sean Callahan as clerk of the zoning board.
Member Procope,
Approve Mr. Sean Callahan as clerk for zoning board.
Okay, so we have conducted the citizens' business with elected officials going into 2021. I do want to repeat, as I stated earlier in our meeting, we have been honored with 2 recent members appointed by City Manager Donahue and her administration. We now have a full board of officers as well as members and alternates, with the move to another full member hopefully soon, at the direction and discretion of the city manager. being on this board since 2009, I can say our continued success has been due in part largely by its board members. Their commitment to the city, commitment to the zoning board of appeals and the bylaws is what makes this board able to make sound decisions. Everyone's individual professional attributes that they bring is a bonus to the city, particularly in difficult decisions that we're required to make for the petitioners and the citizens in the neighborhood. And I appreciate the commitment and loyalty to each and every one of you. And I continue to be proud of the work we do as a team. And as a board, we have gone through some changes, some ups and downs, and we are in a very sound place right now. And I shared those sentiments earlier today with a couple of my colleagues, being a very happy member of this board to have a full board and be able to move forward with individuals' input and their intellect. That being said, Jared, I would like to give you the opportunity. I know you had reached out to me.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some news to share with the board. I have accepted a position with the city of Alexandria, Virginia. And so I actually will be having my last day with the city of Lowell this coming Friday. I've really valued the 3 years that I've had working with this zoning board. You pushed us a lot at the staff level to make sure that we were giving the highest level of scrutiny to projects as they were coming through. And I really have enjoyed working with all of you. I'm going to miss seeing all your faces, but you know, some of these projects that I saw tonight, maybe I'll have to dial in on the 23rd just to see the results. I don't know if I can leave them hanging, but you know, I'm going to miss working with all of you. It has really been my pleasure over these last 3 years.
Well, Jared, I wish you, as I stated in my email today, I wish you the most abound success in your new career down in Alexandria, Virginia. You have been one of the cornerstones to the DPD over the last several years. Your work with the FAR, it's quite it's ironic that we had two tonight before us, but the amount of work that you and your colleagues did providing us the FAR standard for the city of Lowell and for our zoning board of appeal bylaws was a long, arduous task. You are correct. We did put it on you and your team, and you delivered to the highest capability of a group of professionals that I have seen in public service. That piece has kind of really solidified some of the decisions we've had to make in the past and clearly moving forward. It has also solidified to the citizens in the community that DPD understands the rules and the laws, and they apply them, and they give us the matrix and the tools to make our decisions properly. You've been an incredible leader in that downtown office with that young group of professionals, with the youth and vigor. It's always, that's the detriment of success, is our loss. But Alexandria, Virginia will be much better served with you in their office, and I wholeheartedly wish you all the success in your life and in your career. And I thank you for your time and commitment to our great city. Well deserved, and for safe travels. And please do check in on us on the 23rd to make sure we are keeping our standards up with all the work that you did on the FAR. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate those words, and I know that you will be in great hands with Francesca and the others that will be coming to join the department. The positions have been posted, and so hopefully, just as you have a full group now, the project review group will be full very soon too.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments by my esteemed colleagues?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, sir, this is Van Tech. I do want to be at the same time as you, Jared, if you don't mind me referring to you by your first name. It's really been a pleasure working with Jared. You're a constant professional, always so helpful, just always so amazing to work with, very understanding. You know, I've come to you with questions, concerns, and you always answer them without any, you know, uh, my lack of knowledge on, I'm not a lawyer like Mr. Callahan. I'm not an architect like Mr. McCarthy. So some of my concerns are like a little more mundane, but I think you always help me manage my question and concerns very professionally and appropriately. So I wish you the best of luck. Like the chairman said, Alexandria, Virginia has gotten a great addition to the team, and it's a huge loss for the city of Lowell, I think. So I wish you the very best, Jared. Congrats.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Any other comments?
I too want to extend my congratulations to Jared. That's fantastic news for you. Hope you the best. We're going to miss you. You do such a great job for us. I mean, I gotta hang the memos that are very thorough, very well laid out, and it was such a great help to have you on board to provide us with all that information, breakdowns, drafts, even the minutes. Your work is just absolutely impeccable, Jared, and it's a tough loss, but I know you're going on to bigger and better. We've had so many great young professionals like yourself that working in PPP that do wonderful things. You do fantastic in Virginia. You're getting one of the best. All the best.
Thank you, John. Any other comments?
I'd just like to say, I hope you don't notice the sadness in my voice, but I'm thrilled that you're going to such a great place. And wow, what an opportunity for you. And it's going to be mighty big shoes to fill. But you've raised the bar so high from what I've seen in the past. I think the other board members have already said it, but what we've seen from the Lowell DPD, not since you've been on board, but especially in the last couple of years, has been wonderful for the board to have as a resource. The thoroughness, just the willingness to work with the zoning and help us understand where the zoning needs to be worked into, helping see these these applications potentially find a way to happen. It's really encouraging. I hope the city continues in your absence with whoever fills your shoes, because the momentum has been just wonderful to see, and I'm looking forward to great things in Alexandria, Virginia. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dennis. George?
Well, I'm the newest one, and I know you the least, Jared. But what I know of you is outstanding. And to everyone's point, Lowell's loss is Alexandria's gain. And if your replacement does half of what you do, we have everything. So safe journey, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, George. Well, Jared, you do have your work cut out for you. I hope that you travel safely and you enjoy the next phase of your professional career.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for the kind words. I will miss working with you, not seeing you so regularly. And please do reach out if you ever find yourself in the DC area.
That'd be wonderful. I'm a big fan of the city. Any other comments or concerns from any of the board members? That being said, may I have a motion to adjourn?
The last time for Jared, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
You have a second?
I'll second the motion.
The meeting has been adjourned. Good luck, Jared. Godspeed.
Best of luck, Jared.
Good luck, everyone.
Take care, Jared.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Okay.
Thank you and good night, everyone.
Good night. Everyone stay safe and healthy. Take care.
Yeah, you
too.
too.